See. Hey guys, Dex here. We've got the Instagram going, so you'll see us jump on. We've got Michael here from Aston Construction building on. We're filming it for our growth members group. Hi Kylie, how are you? I'm going to start the Facebook feed over here, and we've got the video that we're actually going to film for our members going up there. So I'll probably be looking a lot up at the camera here to Michael when we talk. Hey Jasmine, how are you? Michael, I'll just probably say a few things to a few people while we get set up.
No dramas.
Great. So we've got this awesome builder. You know, we've got this site that we're looking to sell or even develop on 1,300 square. He's done the first inspection of it and had a look at what we can do on it. He's going to give us his update and tell us what's next. So let me just start up Facebook over here and see where we can go. So go live. Let's see. And why isn't that going live? Oh, use camera. Here we go. Hey guys, sorry I dropped out. Hey Anna. We're just jumping on. We're going to do a site analysis with this awesome builder for our members group, but I'm going to show you guys, have a bit of a preview of it. I'm just starting up the Facebook Live over here, and I think it's about to work. Didn't think it was this hard for that, but that's good. Okay. Hey, Facebook. We got Facebook Live over here. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Way. Hey, VIF Property Group. Hey, this is awesome. Good to have you guys on. So what we're doing is, and I'll intro Michael now because we've got both live streams going. You'll probably see us looking at different cameras. Hi, Kylie. Awesome to have you on. And Lloyd. Getting a few on. Fantastic. So let's get this up. We've got Facebook over here. We've got Instagram here. And we've got the professional photography going up here. We're actually today, we've got a site that we're looking at developing. It's 1,300 squares. Michael can go into a bit more detail. We've got the video for the members group. So we've got the growth members about developments, renovations, and all this sort of stuff. And Michael is a part of my business network. He's a great builder. I've got a couple of questions. We're going to talk about what, give an interest about his company first, and then we can delve into the Huntingdale site. So we're good to go. Good to go over there. Excellent. Okay, let's start recording up here. G'day, Michael. How are you?
Hey, Dax. How are you? Thanks for having me on your live feed. That's pretty awesome.
You're welcome, man. Yeah, it's good to have you on board. And just to kick off for everyone who's online, hey, Jessica, can you give us a bit of an update of your company, a little bit of history before we jump into the actual site?
Sure, absolutely. My company name is called Aston Constructions, and I've been building for about 15 years now, pretty much a custom build and medium to higher end products. We do townhouses, luxury homes, apartments, and also commercial projects like childcare centres, medical centres, and factories. So the it's all custom design, custom build. So we really focus on the needs of the client, and we hold their hands as much and as little as they need.
Awesome. Excellent. Thanks, Michael. And I met Michael a couple of weeks ago. Hey, Knowledge. And we really connected on a number of things, you know, construction, development, eco, and all that sort of stuff. And I thought it'd be great for him to have a look at our site and what we're doing. We'll have it up on the board as we do this production cut afterwards, and I'll show you some of this, the sites and also the videos already in the members group of my site visit. So just to give you a quick background before we jump into the analysis, Michael, as you know, one of the people in the growth membership group, he has a site in Huntingdale at 600 and something square, 647. And he was like, what can I do? So we went through an analysis and we went, okay, the house beside him is a corner block. Now, Michael, how good is a corner block when you're looking at developments? It's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. So his strategy was talk to his neighbors and see if they could sell them as a lot. So if you could sell two at the same time, it's really powerful as a development, because we're not only looking at maybe two on a site, now we can maybe look at six. So I did the walkthrough and I showed how flat it was and the corners and stuff like that. And then I met with Michael and said, have a look at this site. And Michael said, well, the first thing you should do is actually talk to a builder like us, because don't jump straight into a town planner. And so, Michael, can you explain a little bit about that? Why should we be talking to you first?
Yeah, absolutely. There's many parts to a puzzle when you're looking at a feasibility. So I'll just go a bit further just to say, so I've done a lot of developments myself with business partners. So I wear a different hat and I look at things a little bit different to just a straight building. So what I want to try and offer your members and visitors is that sort of a little bit of insight as to how I would look at a project if I was doing it myself. So if I've got an opportunity that comes across my desk, so the sort of things that come to my mind first up is the marketing of the site. So what's the area desire? What's the product I think that it's going to be? So once I've got a good idea, I need to speak to real estate agents just to get a feel of what's moving in the area. Then you need to speak, it's a bit of a juggle because a lot of these processes, so if you go down the track with designing, you sort of got to be committed down the path, because once you get things approved, it's difficult to get it altered and difficult to change. Not impossible, but difficult. So you want to get it right the first time. And when I say get it right, so there's lots of facets that developers have got to consider. So if I'm going on and I'm looking at a site, so example, you presented the site in Huntingdale, 1,297 square meters. So I have a bit of a look on a book on Google, and it gives us a lot of things that I look for. So I look for what's around the site. So number one, dangers that I look for is large trees, because it's getting more and more difficult for not difficult, but more and more councils are a lot more respectful, and also residents are respectful of greenery. So if you've got a large tree that's going to impede on your site, then that's going to significantly alter the footprint of your project, and that could be the make or break of whether you're going to do 2 or 4 townhouses and you have to redesign around, or especially if you want to do basements, these are showstopper items if that tree's there. So I look for trees. I look for neighbouring trees as well, because guess what? Your neighbour's tree, even though it's not on your property, you've got to be whatever distance the canopy spreads out. You've got to be pretty much that distance away from the tree. So that's a danger for neighbouring trees.
Yeah.
All right. When I have a look at the side, I look around.
So Mike,
go ahead, Dax.
Because from what I understand is the canopy size underground is the similar root size, isn't it? So you can't really
that's right, I think.
Can't put a pool or a basement underneath a canopy, because you're going to kill half the tree. Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, correct. Look, there are some engineering ways to come closer, but it really starts adding up the cost. It's huge. You're talking about deep concrete piers and beams, and it really, correct. It starts getting big money, and then also not only that, the councils want reports and arborists and this and that, and it just becomes prohibitive. So if it can be avoided, that'd be nice.
Good. Okay.
The next thing that I look at is services, because these things can be large ticket items. If there's not enough power to service your development, if there's stormwater issues, if there's sewerage problems, these can be big dollars. To example, if you've got a street pole and it's pretty much where you want to put your driveway, you're talking about $15,000, $20,000 for them to move a street pole.
Move one.
Because guess what? United Energy say, sure, take it or leave it. Go and see my competitors to have it moved. Or, oops, there are none. So, So you got to watch out for services. So, electricity poles. Also, the other thing, bus stops. Telstra or NBN infrastructure.
Yep.
Again, if the main line is coming through and it's got one of those connections I have, the Telstra ones, you're talking about tens of thousands to move the thing.
So you put one of those on your nature strip, and that's for the members to look out for when you're looking at your site visit to see if there's those pods, those Telstra pods, or any big pits along the nature strip, just to be aware of. You don't know what it is, and I guess one of the easiest things to do for our interested parties is probably get onto Dial Before You Dig, yeah, and register and see what comes out, yeah.
Yeah, Dial Before You Dig is fantastic because pretty much within a couple of hours you get where all the infrastructure is. So these are things that really bite later on. They're not most of them are not showstoppers, but they hurt.
Okay.
So and again, it's something that if your town planner, so it's for the developer, they've got to make sure that their consultants along the way are aware of these. They may or may not pick them up. A good consultant will. But they've got to be sure that they need to do their own due diligence to make sure.
What we say in the growth team and the growth program is that there's only one person that cares about your project the most. That's yourself. So the more you're aware, and that's why we do these programs, is to make you aware that, hey, when you're out there and looking and going, okay, so I know Craig, who'll be on this, who owns that block of land in Huntingdale, he'll be going out there looking for those pits right now and the poles. But yeah, please keep going.
So and for a specific example, I'm just looking at the Huntingdale. I had a look on Google Maps. I spin around the property, and guess what? There's the power pole towards the end of the property, and it's got this brace cable coming down. Okay. So I look at that and I say, oh, that's a danger sign. I don't know if we can move around it. So I better find out what it is. And a lot of these assets, you have to be a certain distance away. So, let's say like a Telstra pit, you've got to be 1.2 meters away. I'm not too sure how far it is for a power pole, but these are things that have to be investigated as a little bit danger signs.
So we note that down, and because next week we're talking to the town planner, and so these are the things after having a discussion with your builder like yourself, Michael. You write them down and go to your next professional with them. Okay, great.
Yeah, correct. And it's not so. Some of these they're peripheral items, but as I said, I know from previous experience that they're painful to deal with, and then the town planners aren't going to deal with that now because they're interested in getting the most building on the site. And then they'll look where you can shove a driveway and a crossover. And then that's usually for the developer, you worry about that later. That's not my issue now. But as I said, it's for the developer just to be mindful to either they've got to allow the money for it, or they've got to know that it can be dealt with. That's really the important. All right. So infrastructure's.
That's fantastic. Andrew Morello, good to see you, man. Good to have you on here. We're doing that site we were just talking about, that 1,300 square. Michael from Aston Builders, he's doing this site analysis. So you'll see it in the members site when it comes up. And we've got Facebook over here as well. So thank you for your help with that. Okay, so Michael, what else? What's next? After we've looked at
so looking at the site, then probably the only thing is just to take note of, but it's not that critical. It's just neighbouring buildings, how close they are to the boundaries, and especially ones that have got walls on the boundary, because that adds more cost to engineering wise. It's not a showstopper, but it just adds a bit of cost. So all of these things, I'm trying to get a picture in my mind. I would try to say these things go towards how much contingency should I allow in the feasibility.
Okay, great.
So once you've sort of got a good handle on how much you should allow for these potential pitfalls, then you need to speak to someone to give good advice for town planning. Now, the people that I have around me, it's okay from experience. I've done this a few times, so I get a good feel for good advice. But it's really critical for the developers to get good advice. And when I'm saying good advice, it's not necessarily cheap advice, but it's not necessarily over the top. So it's really a matter of finding the right guy for that project, because they differ. There's big town planning firms, and they have big expenses and they have big ideas. And there's small guys that have small fees, but they can't give the service for what you need.
Yeah.
So it's critical along to associate with the right team, that you get adequate servicing, adequate response, and you're paying a reasonable dollar. All right, so
that's really key. What you pointed out there is that the team you build around yourself. So, you know, as a growth program member, you do have that team. You know, Michael's there. We've got the town planner next week. You know, these are the people that you build around your wealth so that you can use them over and over again. And each time, you know, everyone gets to work with each other. Michael will talk to the town planner will talk to the architect, and then Michael, and we build this synergy between us all so it becomes this smooth vehicle. And over time, you build your team, and that's the key thing for success. You can't do it all yourself, you know, and that's why we've built this team over time to make sure that you're successful in your projects. Anything like Michael's brought up, these warning bells, we write them down and make sure that we're aware of them so that when they come up, we know that, you know, if we need to move a big sewer pipe and we find it there, we know how much it is. So we know before we even do anything other than getting through Michael and the town planner that there's some big costs there. And the architect would pull it all together in the feasibility study that actually explains money in, costs, timeframes, and then profit at the end of that. So yeah, Michael, it's really key. And, you know, being a part of the team is critical, and communication between them. So yeah, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So again, the key to success is getting good advice and timely advice. So as long as you can know about something, you can allow for it. And you know what? If a project doesn't stack up, and knowing that up front, that's just as good as knowing that it is going to stack up. So
more than better. You know, it's better to cut a project early, you know, definitely.
You know, if it doesn't feel right and doesn't smell right, then it's, look, usually your first, you know, from experience, your first sort of like cut through is going to be mighty close to the mark. Doesn't matter what you tinker and hope, it's going to be close to the mark. So you really got to be like, you know, if the market was jumping ahead, you might take a little bit more optimistic approach. It really depends on environment, but you know, like my thoughts are realistic to conservative is where I like to place it. So long as I can know about something, I can deal with it. When you don't know about it and it comes and bites you, that's the hardest to deal with.
Yeah. So
we go along, have a look at the site, looking what's around, infrastructure, nothing seems extraordinary. Then our next step is engage town planning advice, because you've got to know, sorry, I'll just go one step back, and that is, you've spoken to some real estate agents and they tell you, look, the people in the area, there's a need for 2 bedders, 3 bedders, whatever it is, you know, it's young family, old. So already you've got in your mind to give, you need to portray a picture of what you think the project's going to look like to your town planner. Then, because they need guidance. And so all the consultants along the way, everyone's looking for guidance as to what the developer in what their project looks like and for them. So the more information they can give to their consultants, the better information they're going to get back.
Right, that's good.
So we know that so let's say for Huntingdale, let's say we know that we really want to do a mixture of a couple of 2 bedders, a couple of 3 bedders. So we want to know, and double stories are acceptable. So we go to our town planning advice and we say, look, we want to maximise. We've got the block, Huntingdale, it's 1397. Here's the details. I've done a dial before you dig. Here's those. Here's the site. Can you please advise us? We want to do double stories. We want to get as much as we can on the block. Can you please give us some schematics? Please advise us what you think is achievable with the council. So really, then I think they're going to have to go and do some sort of initial concept drawings, the layouts, and then you need to developers going to have to decide, is it something that it generally looks right, and again, speak to, possibly go back to a real estate agent, someone that you can rely that you're not going to get fed a load of BS, and you say to them, look, this is our plans. The town planner thinks we could get a 24 square 2-bedders, 2 at the back. We'll get a couple of double-story 18 squarers at the front, 2 in a study, whatever it is.
Yep.
Driveways are going to be here. What do you think of that? What sort of sales do you think we could achieve if we present, whatever the finish is, whether it's stone benches and paint a picture to the real estate guy as to how you see the project and see what sort of numbers they come up with.
That's awesome. Thank you, Michael. That's really great. And I think it's just led me into bringing in one of our real estate agents that's really good in project marketing. And these are the real estate agents you get in at the start of the project to sort of get that vision in place. And, they want those end sales. That's their whole drive to get there. And as we talk about, interview a few of them, get to see who's worth really the best people to go for, and choose the team wisely. So, Michael, you've looked at the site. What's your thoughts? Give us some feedback.
So the next thing is we've got town planner says, okay, we can get this amount of units, this amount of squares. So then you need to come back to the builder, send that through the builder, and need to get a bit of an idea of what sort of price point, either per area, per unit, something, so that you've got a figure that you can plug in to your spreadsheet for roughly what's the building going to be. Now, here's the thing.
We can work with you.
The thing is that you've got to be careful, because a lot of prices you get from builders, what do they include? So for me, I normally do projects which are turnkey. So I'm doing demolition, I'm doing all the civil works, I'm doing the building, and then I'm doing the landscaping and driveways. And that's going to be my price. A lot of builders are talking about this is your building cost, but it's just the square box inside, and all the rest is yours. Demo's yours, civil works are yours, driveways are yours. So be careful that you've got everything included.
That's a key word, Michael, isn't it? If you hear turnkey, that means done. Really, you can go and turn the key on the front door, and there's nothing else to be done. Is that the word? Is that where it came from?
Yeah, 100%. So be careful. At the end of the day, you get what you pay. So the developer's going to pay for a service one way or another. So either way, you have to allow for it. I don't mind if I give a price and the developer wants to do the driveways and landscaping, and so I'm sure I've got that arrangement, then I give a price. But so be careful, eyes wide open, that whatever is a scope package that you're after, you've got it included one way or another.
And in turnkey, is it also the utilities and stuff attachment, or is that a separate cost? Because I know that's a bit blurry in some contracts.
Yeah, look, normally all the connections would never be included, and also contributions, council fees, stuff like that would not be included in a package. I'd never include in mine. I along the way, but I tell you, I help my clients by giving them the forms they need, I give them the contacts they need, and I tell them when's the time. I always tell them up front, you know what, even on day one, as soon as you're committed for the project, go and speak to Energy and go and speak to MBN and also Southeast Water, because those three take like literally 3 months, 4 months before you even get in the queue to get some sort of good, to get some sort of offer.
Fantastic. That's really good.
So I give my clients a good advice to go and trigger these things now, or whenever is the right time. Like, I know that gas is really quick and you can worry about it later. That's fairly much under control. Power you want to do early, because if you want to do an underground pit, which now pretty much mandatory, beside that, the fact that it's costing $3,000 to $5,000, but it takes literally 4 months to get the pit in the ground.
Wow.
It's
good to know.
So you have to be mindful of these things, and they trip consistently. They trip the novice developer up, and I see lots of projects that come right to the end, and they're waiting for power connection, or they're waiting for some sort of other connection, especially NBN's a pain, because now to get your subdivisions, all of these authorities have to give permission, or have to give their approval.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And without one of them, you can't sell. You can't settle on your townhouse. You're in strife. You have everything out, or you spent all your money, and guess what? It's held up. So it's crucial.
And just to reiterate, that's really key. You need that subdivision title, and everyone needs to tick off on it. All the utilities need to be ticked off on it, and it does take a long time to do that. And you can't sell it. So if you've pre-sold stuff that we've done before, and you're waiting for that subdivision, they can't actually own something if they don't have a title for each one of those. So it can be a bugbear that you get to the end, you're like, okay, great, excellent. And you go, the council goes, well, where's land titles office says, where's all your certificates? You're like, oh, and you run around trying to find them, and it could be 3 months later. And that's a lot of interest payments if you're sitting on a big site, And one of the other trips that we need to be aware of, and we're talking to a finance person later on, is caveats as well. So some of these suppliers and some of these investors and joint ventures will put caveats on your land to make sure they get their money back. So you need to clear those out too, because they can take a while to resolve. We've seen that in the past, and you've got to be aware of those. So Michael, spot on. These nuggets that you're giving us is gold. So on the site, go.
Yeah, they're really, and guess what? It's by experience that you find this stuff out, unless you get a good team around you to help you with these things. So I said, I've learned them along the way, and and it is a moving object, because guess what? The councils, everyone's getting smarter. All their computers are linking up. Your title, everything's on PEXA, through Titles Office. The ball game's changed, and you got to play by their rules, because there's no way around now.
So Michael, before we wrap up, is there any other tips or hints after looking at that site that you would recommend before we move to the town planner? So like we said, engage you straight away, have a big discussion so you can understand where it's at, talk to the real estate agent, then the next step is town planner. So is there anything else you wanted to raise about the site before we go to that?
No, I just think that they always got to know in their mind who's the buyer, because just because you can fit something on a block of land doesn't mean it's going to be the best for the project. So they may need to have a couple of scenarios. Sometimes it works out if you can provide 4 dwellings, and that might be more lucrative than providing 6 smaller dwellings. So it might be good to go with both those scenarios and do a feasibility, because one of them may be better off, more desirable than the other. So a bit of flexibility. Also, they've also got to keep a backup plan in their mind, because they may have trouble getting a particular plan through council due to neighbours' objections, whatever. So they've also got to have some sort of backup plan in their mind. Oh, what if we can't get 8 on this block? Is it still going to be feasible with 6? Because you don't want to go with a proposal for 8 to council, and then you just get a knockback, and then you go and do your sums again at that point, and you go, holy crap, I'm going to make approximately a big 0 if I have to concede 1 townhouse. They've got to have that exit or that backup already sort of there, that they know that that's feasible too.
Good. I like that. And look, the land's big enough to look at 6, 5 or 4. And I love that strategy. And we're going to have the real estate agent on soon to do that analysis. That's fantastic, Michael. You do big builds, you do small builds, you've done your own developments. Do you do things like for our wealth growth package in our masters group? The masters group's more like armchair developers that look for good project managers. Do you also provide that service?
No, it's not really something I do. Usually I'm just doing, I run a small team. We do 3 to 4 projects a year. I concentrate on what we do, and we try to do it well. so that we're not having discussions with clients about extras and we didn't include this and we didn't include that. So I said, I try to be transparent. I try to, the customer, so long as they know what something is, that's what we agree, that's what we agree. So long as both parties know what they're going to do, I think that's important. And as I said, I try to envisage what I would do in that scenario and give good advice based on that to the client. So really, as I said, it's just you've got to have a good team, and I like to work with clients that again that everyone knows that this is their forte. And look, just go ahead and you're the expert of that. Go and do that. We collaborate, we help each other. If it's the best thing for the project, I'm in for it. So, I think
Michael,
that's the key.
How do we, it's been a great time with you, really valuable knowledge for all our members and the public who are on Facebook and Instagram. Andrew, got a thumbs up from Andrew Morello. That's a good one. Excellent. And so how do people contact you? I mean, we've got your links through the membership site, but for people who are live now, what's the best way?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best way to contact me is if they can jump on my website, which is astonbuild.com.au. I've also got portfolio there. They can have a look at a bit of the stuff that I've done previously, and contact numbers there, emails are there, contact forms there. That'll be the best way. Otherwise, if they get in contact with you, I'm happy, and no obligation. I'm happy to have this discussion with people. It doesn't work out. It's fine for me. I said I like to get involved with good people, and some projects that stand for something. And I said I'm happy to give some good advice through people that we meet that like-minded.
Thanks, Michael. I think that's really great. And that's how we resonated. I think that's how I connected. And I said, let's get you on the show. Let's see, help other people out there. I've got one more question that I haven't really alluded to yet, but usually I ask everyone, tell us something that, not many people know about you. And we can end on that because I love those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been involved with the Scouts. I've been a Scout leader at 15th Brighton Troop for about 28 odd years now, and I love that. I love giving back to the community, but also I love being outdoors and just helping some of the kids just develop their leadership skills and teamwork and it's just so that's a bit of a pressure relief for me from the day-to-day circus that we deal with. So
awesome. I love that. That's cool. 28 years.
Yeah, it's huge.
Ooh, fantastic. That's great giving back. And, we're all about environmental and socially conscious business and people. And, I didn't know about that, but, when I delve into that question, that's what people come back and resonate really well with that sort of stuff. So fantastic to hear. Thank you, Michael. Everyone on the members subscription, comment below, work together. Michael's there to have a chat. He's definitely open for, 15, 20-minute chat to discuss your projects and stuff like that, like this one. And look forward to the next session. And Michael, if you don't mind, we might get you on in the next couple of weeks when we're at that point. Like you said, in the bouncing ball, once we get to the architect stage, we'll go, okay, what's the build costs and stuff going to cost? Because that's put into the feasibility.
Yeah, it's definitely something when they've it's in and out for different advisors and the developers just really got to just a schematic process, ask the right questions or just ask any questions and listen for the answers and get a good team around you. So I think that's the key.
Awesome. Thanks, man. We'll sign off.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. It was great to have you on. It was really great.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks.